welcome, and thank you for joining. Today is a very exciting day because we're celebrating the upcoming launch of The Heavy Bag by the amazing author Sarah Surgey. So today we're gonna hear from her. We're gonna get a special sneak peek. Well, we're gonna hear the whole book here today in celebration. This book will launch next week on Monday, April 1st, at cardinalrulepress.com. And yeah, I am so very excited. I think everyone is in. So without further ado, Sarah Surgey is joining us from the UK. And so I will let her introduce herself and just get right in with the book. If you have questions or comments, just make sure to add them in the chat and we will read them at the end. Sierra, welcome and thank you so much for reading for us today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This is so exciting. I've been literally ticking off every day on the calendar for today. So this is such a lovely event that I've been looking forward to. So yes, my name's Sarah Surgey and I am the author of The Heavy Bag. And I am here in the UK. So I'm really looking forward to reading this to you tonight. And then hopefully we'll have some questions at the end. So yeah, this is The Heavy Bag.
Sarah, I would also like to add, we have Heather with us today. She is our ASL interpreter. So she will be interpreting the book and reading with us too.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you, Heather. Okay, so here we go. The Heavy Bag. We've got some beautiful illustrations here by the amazing Larisa Ivanković. Here we go, The Heavy Bag. Enid had feelings she'd never felt before. The feelings arrived the day her granddad died. After he died, Enid put all of the special things that they had shared in her bag and set off on the path that they used to walk together. She knew it would be easier to walk without all of the special things in her bag, but she just couldn't leave them at home. She wanted to keep them safe and close. With each step, her bag grew heavier and a great big mix of feelings whooshed down from her head to her toes, making her feel dizzy and heavy. She stomped ahead until... Wow, the girl behind the stand said, that's a really big bag. What do you have in there? None of your business, said Enid. You sound angry, said Margot. Enid could feel her cheeks start to burn and her legs wobble. She wanted to scream, but instead she took off the heavy bag and pulled out a cracked telescope. Grandpa said he would look at the stars with me, she said, but now he's gone. Grandpa. You're carrying so much, it's hard for you to walk, Margot said. I'm happy you decided to talk. Let me hold this for you and lighten your load. You're not alone as you walk this road. Passing over the telescope, Enid pictured a smile beneath Grandpa's fluffy grey moustache. When she put her bag back on, it felt lighter. Back on the path, Enid drew a line as she walked. When she came to the stream, she felt so sad that she'd had to stop and rest. What's the matter, dear? Asked a neighbour who was walking his dog. I lost my grandpa, she said. I'm sorry, he said. That looks like a heavy bag. What's inside? A wooden boat that Grandpa made with me. We were going to sail it together, Enid said. Then she started to cry. Let it out, the man said. You're carrying so much, it's hard for you to walk. I'm happy you decided to talk. Let me hold this for you and lighten your load. You are not alone as you walk this road. Enid handed the boat to her neighbour and watched as he took it to the water. We can watch it sail off on its journey together, he smiled. Enid said goodbye and picked up the bag. It didn't hurt her shoulders anymore. But soon the dizzy feelings whooshed through her body again, and what ifs circled in her mind. What if she had visited Grandpa that morning? Would his heart have not broken? What if she had told him she was baking cakes for him? Would he have waited for her? Oh, what if... Whoa! Well, hello there, said Ida. Why do you look so sad? I lost my grandpa. Enid felt tears in her eyes again. I made some biscuits for him and I won't be able to give them to him. You're carrying so much, it's hard for you to walk, the lady said. I'm happy you decided to talk. Let me hold this for you and lighten your load. You are not alone as you walk this road. I know some birds that would love some biscuits. Enid reached inside her bag and handed it to Ida. They smiled at each other. Enid felt different now. She felt light as a feather. The sun had found its way through the clouds and she spotted a rainbow. Before long, Enid arrived at the end of her street. She looked across the road at Grandpa's house. The bag was much lighter. She had let friends help her carry the heavy things. And what remained were the special memories. The memories weighed nothing at all. They were light and lovely, and she could carry them wherever she went. There we go, the heavy bag. Thank you.
Thank you so much for reading for us today. Heather, thank you so much for being with us. Sarah, that was amazing. Can you tell us a little bit about your inspiration for the book?
Yes, sure. So people who know me will know that I talk a lot about the heavy bag. I first wrote it actually about 4 years ago here in the UK. I have to say, this is my favourite edition. Cardinal Rule Press, you've done so much with this, and it's there's some new illustrations, different illustrations. Things have changed in size, so this is really is a lovely edition. But it started very differently in the UK about 4 years ago. I was working in classrooms, working with children, which I love doing. I was also volunteering for a children's charity, sort of helping children with emotional well-being. And then pandemic hit and everything closed down. The schools closed down, the charities closed down, and I was at home. Alongside that, I've always been a writer. It's one thing that I've just always enjoyed doing from a really, really early age. And I was lucky enough that I was writing for some magazines, articles and things. So I was always writing, and I suddenly had some more time on my hands at home during the pandemic. And I really wanted to probably explain to my children at the time, I've got 4 daughters, about what was going on. And I had all these different story ideas in my head. And one day, a really good friend of mine said to me, do you know, it just all feels so heavy, what's happening? And I thought, got it, that is the story. And I actually could see in my mind, it's really strange how it works as an author, because I'm definitely not an illustrator. I absolutely cannot draw. But I do have very visual ideas of how I'd like my books to look. And I just had this view of this little girl with very dark hair and this big yellow backpack, and she was just walking and just carrying this really, really heavy load. And the story just kind of evolves from there. And that's where the heavy bag came from. So I think it's just like a mix of everything, sort of everyday life experiences, which is often how authors come up with story ideas.
And now that you mentioned the illustrator that you had a vision, how was it working with an illustrator in this team effort?
Yeah, it's a really, really interesting process because as a writer, you really have to let your vision go a little bit when it comes to the illustrations. And because this wasn't the pandemic, so this was in lockdown, this was all done online. We didn't actually get to meet face to face. And Larisa's based in Serbia. I'd seen some of her work online, and I know that she was already illustrating for picture books. And I loved her style. But yeah, so there is this process that happens where I kind of give my ideas, but obviously as the illustrator, she's the artist, you know, she was just sending things back to me, which I was like, oh, actually that works better. So it's really interesting to see how somebody else sees your vision. But we worked very closely together actually, which is quite unusual. Normally when you work within publishing houses, the publishing house kind of takes over. But because it wasn't a pandemic, we were working together. Oh, I think you're on mute, Nilmari.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
So in the comments, a class is watching and they are published authors. They say you're an inspiration. What kind of advice would you have for published and aspiring authors too?
Oh, thank you so much. That's really sweet. So my advice is to just believe in yourself. It's a really hard industry to be in. And I think I was speaking on a podcast of the day about rejections and resilience, and these two topics really do come up quite a lot. And you really have to believe in what you're writing. It won't necessarily always be published, but something will come from it. Something always will. I've got lots of things that I've written, I've just put there, and they sometimes come out, you know, like a year, 2 years, a lot longer later for a reason. So you have to believe in yourself because you are going to come up against quite a lot of not negativity, but there's certain barriers that when you want to become published, and you have to just prepare for that. So you have to believe in yourself, and then encourage others to do so as well. And you just have to keep writing. But I think as writers, we don't stop writing. We may have days or weeks or months or, you know, sort of time periods when we kind of think, oh, is anything going to happen? And we kind of lull a little bit, but actually we never stop writing because the ideas never stop coming. And if any other writer like me knows, you forever have ideas going around in your head, and you're just writing down all the time. So that kind of pushes through and motivates you just to keep going, keep going, keep going.
Going a little bit back to the book, at the end of the book, there are different advice and some activities. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, so it was really important, I think. I've learned a lot from my very first edition, the one that I had, my little one in the UK, because there was actually quite a lot of schools use it here in the UK, but they were having to make up their own activities to use the book to work with children. So when Cardinal Rule Press said, look, let's get some activities in the book, let's get some comprehension work in there. It just adds to all the tools that is in this book. I mean, this book is a storybook. It's a storybook. It's a picture book. It follows this little girl who's going on this physical journey. She's walking, she's meeting people, she's interacting, but obviously this emotional journey through grief as well. So on its own, it is a really lovely little picture book, but it was really important, I think, to get these back matter, these tools and ideas in the back of the book, so teachers, parents, adults, whoever's reading with the child can use them if they want to. So yeah, that was, and we worked really hard on them. I can kind of remember the conversations and sort of the research, and we did speak to people obviously who work with children within grief, so they are very, very useful.
Yeah, and I also want to remind everyone that in cardinalrulepress.com, in the resources area, you will find a reader's guide and coloring pages too for the book. So those are really nice extra resources for teachers and parents who really want to take this to the class. Okay, so before we go, Sarah, and if anyone else has questions, please put them in the chat. Is there anything else you would like to add?
I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you to everybody for showing up, because as an author, when you write books, you are very much by yourself. You sit at home by yourself, wherever you choose to write, and your thoughts are in your own head. You have conversations with yourself. Does this work? Doesn't this work? You are by yourself a lot. And when events like this happen and people actually show up, it honestly means so much. So I did want to say a huge thank you to everybody. I wanted to say thank you, obviously, to Cardinal Rule Press. You're absolutely amazing to work with. And I'm really honoured actually with already the recognition that the Heavy Bag is receiving in the US through some organisations. So I'm really excited to see what happens with it, and obviously to keep following Enid on her journey in the US now. So that is really super important. So yeah, thank you so much.
Yes. And where can everyone find you on social media, website?
Yeah, so I do quite a lot on Instagram. So I'm Sarah Surgey writer on Instagram, just because I've got 4 children. I write full time. I've got so much going on, so I like to just put everything in one place. So do come over and say hello, because I put a lot of information on there for everybody, and I do love to connect with people. So yeah, Sarah Surgey writer on Instagram. I've got a website as well, sarahsurgey.com. So there are various ways that you can reach out and talk to me.
Yes, and if you want to learn more about the book and where to find it, just go ahead and check out cardinalrulepress.com, and you will find everything you need. So, Sarah, once again, thank you so much for reading for us today. Everyone, make sure to tune in for April 1st for the launch of the book. Check out your emails. We will announce it everywhere. And thank you so much for being with us today to celebrate. Have a great day and take care. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.